What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for watching. So we're going to start with an interview with David Amello, founder and president of OTG Video, a Boston-based video production company. And then the second part, a little bit of a shorter interview, is with a young entrepreneur from Texas who started his business at 13 and has turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. Uh, and now he's in college. So also a very interesting interview, very entrepreneurship-based episode today. So enjoy. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you guys are all having a great week. This is a interesting segment of the show. That if you're watching this on New TV, this will be the second segment of the show. We have David Amello here. He's the founder and president of OTG Video. He's from the Boston area, so he's familiar with the channel, and he wants to give us a little bit of a look into how his journey was like from, going from a corporate world to the entrepreneurship world and starting OTG Video. So, my first question for you, just to give people a little bit of a background on your journey and a little bit, get them more familiar with what you do and who you are. You're currently the president of OTG Video, but tell us a little bit outside of the business about yourself. Who are you outside of the business? About your background. What did you do before?
Hi, Sam. Thanks for the question. Yes, I have been in electronics pretty much my whole life. It
Okay.
comes from um, back from a family business. My father was in electronics since the 50s, and I've continued that in some form or another.
Okay.
Um, but I have found that video is really, really where I shine. It's a great product, great industry, and um, so I've settled in it at this point in my career.
Okay. So, how long have you been operating OTG Video?
Since 2020,
Okay.
um, got together with a friend of mine who has been in the entertainment industry for years and decided to put my talents towards video streaming, video recording, and created OTG Video.
Okay. Okay. And what would you say your main mission with OTG is?
OTG is to provide quality streaming, quality recording at an affordable price for um, performance artists, sports clubs, local organizations, anybody who needs or who would like to record events on video.
Okay. Out of those, what would you say the most common industry that you stream and record for is?
Sports has been a big part of our lineup, as it were. Um,
Okay.
with all these sports channels coming online, there's a requirement to record the data and stream the events, and OTG is focusing on that.
Okay. Okay. And so my next question for you is because we see this glamorized a lot on TV and on social media these days, what are some misconceptions that you've learned, about actually having a business and operating it versus just hearing about it, people talk about it?
Oh, well, like I would say any business, it's just a lot of work. You constantly have to be evolving, understanding the new technologies that are coming out, um, and passing that along to your clientele. Too many people are used to um, phones now that have cameras in them. And for instance, if we tell somebody that we have to arrive 2 or 3 hours in advance to set up the equipment, um, they kind of scratch their heads and they say, "Why? I just take my phone out." And I said, "No, no, no, that's not what we do. There's a lot to setting up all the equipment, tuning all the equipment, getting all the colors right on the cameras. It's quite a quite a setup process, and people don't realize it, but it is necessary. And just informing them of all the preparation that goes in prior to a shoot, we um, we do our best to inform people, and that's a big part of it.
Okay,
Communications is a big part of any business, I would say.
fair, fair. And so my next one kind of tied with that. Did you always want to be in video production? And I guess how did you figure that out, if not?
Um, I was involved in the high school AV club,
Okay.
and subsequently in college, I worked at the college TV station, and I always liked the technology behind it, the production, rolling out the truck, going from studio to location, and I always knew I wanted to be in this industry. And um, after college, I got out of it, but I always kept my hand in it a little bit. Produced a couple of short videos, short movies at one point, and then finally in 2020 decided, hey, I'm gonna jump in with both feet, and have done so.
Nice. Okay. Is there a production of yours that you are exceptionally proud of?
Yes, yes, I would have to say it's a band that we recorded recently. It was a live show. The promoter contacted us, and we went in, recorded it. The lighting was right. They the band, the music was good. The audience was there. Everything, all those aspects put together, turned out a great video.
Okay. What's the best advice you can give a customer about producing high quality video?
I would have to say, be aware of your environment. Lighting is always necessary for good video. A lot of people overlook that aspect, and everybody thinks you can just fix it in post. No, you can't. I would say to anybody, if you have any event that you are or want a quality video from, I would say invest in lighting. It's very important for the cameras. It's very important for the subjects that you are recording. People look much better. They look alive. Um, you have a lot of different aspects when you're in a public space, and as a video company, you don't have control, but working with the client to inform them and let them know if they want quality video, invest in lighting.
Okay, nice. Do you have any tips for people trying to make money with video editing or video production in 2024?
Sure, I would say learn as much as you can about the aspect that you want to specialize in, whether it's video recording, editing. All these aspects have events that you can attend, learn about the manufacturers and providers of hardware and software. Spend the time to learn all the techniques that you can. They are all individual and are very, very rich in technology. And as technology evolves, I would say keep abreast of the latest information. AI is coming into play now, which is going to change things dramatically. Um, just learn as much as you can, and continue to learn. It doesn't stop. Continue to learn.
Okay, nice. And that actually ties perfectly into my next question, which is where do you see video production going with AI coming into the mix, into the industry?
AI is going to change everything. Um, compared to AI, a lot of the video that's out there is old technology. AI is going to take over such that video studios are going to become less and less desired. People are going to move to AI. It's all on computers, and it's just going to continue to evolve. There'll be industries sprung from AI, which will, I imagine, um, take certain characters and actors. It will render their uh, persona in such a way that they'll be able to create movies without having to step foot on a set. It will all be done in computers.
Yeah, so I mean that's an interesting future to look forward to, I guess. I am definitely curious as to how the movies will look like with AI and what a 100% AI movie would even, look like, if it would be good to watch, if people will notice the difference.
I think at the beginning you'll notice the difference, but they will create techniques through, um, again, as computer chips become more and more powerful. NVIDIA just came out with a chip that has 10 billion transistors on it. That's incredible. The amount of processing power that will be available in the next decade is going to create films and movies that once the characters have said their lines, it, they won't need to show up again to a set. It will just all be generated from AI.
Right, right. So we'll make it easier on the actors' parts, I guess.
We'll make it easier, but it takes away a certain element.
Yeah,
And at the beginning, again, tuning characters, tuning body movements, facial movements, hand movements. Um, Acting is an art, and trying to get computers to take over, certainly at the beginning, is going to be difficult, but it will happen. And again, in a decade, we will see incredible um, productions come out of just computer companies.
okay. Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. But I, one last question. So I saw that in the beginning of your career you were working with manufacturing circuit boards. Is that like similar to that kind of thing? Is
Yeah, yeah, that exactly.
is that did that have any kind of influence on your relationship with like cameras and the video hardware and how that works? Like, did you already kind of have an interest in like hardware and putting things? Is that connected at all, or was it?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. My family ran a printed circuit board shop
Okay,
in Boston.
okay,
And so it warmed me up to electronics since I was knee high to a grasshopper.
yeah,
And I just saw the advent of circuit boards, the density, going to multi layers, just the technology evolving within the circuit board industry was a natural for me to move into electronics after that. And certainly cameras are all about electronics. So it was an easy transition into electronic equipment, which is what a lot of production is. And with the basis of the precision of creating circuit boards, I've always had that um, yeah,
kind of connection.
yeah. I've always had a connection to electronics, which has created an easy transition into the video industry.
Yeah, yeah, because I do feel like I see sometimes people get a little bit kind of overwhelmed even when they look at like a small camera that has, not a crazy amount of buttons or anything, but it must have helped a little bit to kind of be familiar with that side. It's not as, intimidating to come in and see like a big, video camera and all this technology and stuff like that.
Oh no, the technology I've always embraced.
Yeah.
Again, it comes from just understanding how to make a circuit board
Yeah.
to um, coming into a control room, understanding the different parts of the systems and knowing how they all work together.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. No, that's kind of perfect that it worked out that way. That you had that natural progression into video production.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
just was wondering one last thing. Just from a journalistic, perspective, I had to, put my journalist hat on. You had a little period of time where you worked in Mexico City. How was that? And slash, like, why and how did that come to be?
Oh, okay. So I was working in international sales
Okay.
for an electronics company,
Okay.
and I had a good client down in Mexico City,
Okay.
Jorge.
Okay.
And Jorge invited me to go work for him. He was growing his business and um, he wanted an American to work in purchasing for him.
Mm.
So I was young, unattached, and I said, "Yep, I'll go. I'll go live in another country, learn the
Okay.
language, culture." And again, it was the electronics industry I was working in, so it was a natural fit for me to go from sales to purchasing. And that just helped me personally just better understand people, better understand um, other industries, which just made it was a learning experience, which helped me grow as a person and be able to adapt to change. Certainly living in another country that you don't speak the language, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And that continued my love for learning. And I picked up Spanish as a second language. And I would say to anybody out there who wants to learn more about the world, go live in another country. It's an eye opener.
How
It's
was
an
that
eye.
like adjustment period? Like, did it take a long time to learn the language, to learn like the area?
Oh no, no, no! I dove in with both feet. Um, Lived in Mexico City for a year. Loved every minute of it. Um, Learned to enjoy the food, enjoy the people. I worked with great people, and um, I would, yeah, I would say to anybody, if you want to, if you want to learn about the world, go live in another country, and you can do it. You'd be amazed how, if you're open to it, how easy it is.
Yeah, I guess yeah, it is all about mindset because when you hear about moving to another country, it sounds like a big step, but the way you're explaining it, it sounds like you have no regrets and it was nothing but a good
Oh,
time.
no, no, it was very easy for me. I came from a family that um, we were open to new experiences. So making the change, it was it was inviting. It was invigorating, inviting. I enjoyed every moment of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just last question for real, because I know there's been a few last questions now, but when I saw that you were running the Cub Scout pack 337 and then now are a committee chair. Is the like how did were you always in that since a young age or did you get into that kind of in later on in life or how did that come to be?
Sure. Well, I live in the same town I grew up in.
Okay.
And Pack 377 was my pack as a child.
Okay. So you were in it.
I was in it. I
Okay.
was in it. And when my sons were old enough, I got them into Cub Scouting.
Oh, okay.
and they needed somebody to run the pack. So I helped take over the pack and run the pack for years. And then they needed a committee chair so we could bring in new people to run the pack. And I took over that position. My kids are long out of scouting. They both made it to Eagle. Very proud of that. And but I've continued with the BSA scouting program. I think it's a great program. I think it teaches kids respect, hard work. It gives them chances to uh, enjoy activities that they normally would not do. I would say to anybody, check out the BSA Scouts, and that's why I continue as the committee chair for my little pack in town.
Yeah, so you now do it just for fun and kind of just to give
Oh
back.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because I want other people. I want the pack to remain strong because eventually the Cub Scouts make it into Boy Scouts, which is a great program, and it helps them all the scouts that I've known since they were Cubs and now are Boy Scouts. They're all great kids. They've learned a lot. Um, it's now open to females, so girls can go into the BSA Scout program and do the same program as the boys who have had that opportunity for years. I think it's great.
Okay, nice. I think yeah, I think that's it on our end. I think it's been a great interview, and I think people watching will get a lot of useful info from this. Just whether they're coming at it from an interest in video production or entrepreneurship, or just are listening for entertainment and want to hear about your story. I think there's a little bit for everybody here. So I just want to
Sure,
thank you
sure.
for taking the
Thank you.
time.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah,
Do appreciate it.
thank you for coming on and telling us your story and taking the time to do this. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, have a good one.
You as well. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.
That was the interview with David Amello. I hope you enjoyed. Now we'll be going in to a second, a little bit shorter of an interview with Ryan from Ryan's Woodworking. Enjoy. So, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we have a very, very special guest, Ryan Daly of Ryan's Woodworking. He's coming to us from Texas right now. So, just to get into it and give everyone a little bit of background about you, I read online that you started as early as 13, but if you want to maybe just give a little bit of a background at like how you started and what you do now.
Yeah, definitely. So I did start when I was 13. I was a seventh grader in middle school, and my middle school offered shop class, so I got the opportunity to take that. Kind of fell in love with it, and it's kind of progressed itself to where it is today. So right now I'm a junior at the University of Texas, and I still run Ryan's Woodworking full time while I'm in college. But yeah, it started way back 2016 when I was just a seventh grader.
Okay, so you started in 2016, you said, or
2016, yeah.
okay, okay. And so you started in 2016. You're in eighth grade. This is just, I guess, you had to take like a woodworking. Like we had to do that as well. You just took a woodworking kind of class and got into it.
Yeah, it's an elective they offered. So you couldn't do it in sixth grade, but starting seventh grade and eighth grade, you were able to take it. And like I said, our teacher was amazing. His name was Mr. Torres. He really helped me out along the way, and I took to it. He would let me go in the shop every single day. He'd help me with all my projects, and yeah, it was awesome. It was a great experience.
And when did you like transition from just doing this for fun and just kind of doing it in woodworking class at school to actually putting these for sale and starting this turn this into a little bit of a business at first?
Yeah, that probably started a year or two after I started just doing woodworking because at this time I had so many projects. I built all these things. I gave some to like family, friends, my parents. But I was like, I'm making all these things. People think they're cool. I have them all like stacked up in my garage. I need to do something with them. So that's where it kind of progressed. But like, how am I going to go about selling these? So I started doing neighborhood markets, like farmers markets and holiday markets in my neighborhood. Started up a Facebook page, kind of sold to people locally. And that's kind of where it got started for the first couple years until I transitioned. Just beginning of college, started doing Etsy, which really started to push things and got me into these bigger corporate orders and just one-off orders coming from Etsy, 5, 10, 20 every single day. And it really started picking up from there.
And so when you started putting them on Etsy, like that actually that leads into the next question is like for anyone who's beginning with this kind of journey, would you recommend that people start by selling on Etsy or maybe try it out and then sell their products like you did at local markets like that, just kind of test, if people like it or not at first?
Yeah, I tell anybody, I really recommend Etsy. They do a great job of pumping your stuff out, especially if you don't have like a strong social media presence or a strong like community of just people close to you that you're able to sell to. Etsy does a great job. So I'd recommend start up with Facebook, start up with Instagram first, have a presence. So if people look further into you, it's not just the Etsy part of it, but they see kind of more your website, your social media. And also just like with content, I post a lot of like videos and you can actually see like who I am, who my business is. So when people look farther into Ryan's Woodworking after they find us on Etsy, they're able to see all that stuff. So I recommend just starting up those just to have an online presence. But as soon as you can, I would recommend doing Etsy because they do take their fee, but it's pretty low compared to the value you're getting out of it.
Okay, okay. And so you show a little bit of like your process and how you make it and a little bit behind the scenes, I guess, on the social media. And that gets people kind of into leads them into the Etsy or vice versa. If they come across the Etsy, they can see more of it.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And people, that's one part that I didn't get on and realize until a couple years into doing it. People love seeing the process. I post pictures and like of what I made, which did fine. But then when I started posting videos and reels of like, this is the like how I made this is a step by step like video. This is what I'm doing, kind of day in the life stuff. People love that so much more just because I guess with today's generation, just doing reels and videos is already way more popular. But also people want to see behind the scenes. People are always interested, like, whoa, how do you do this? This is so cool. And making those videos and showing people how to do it is just a great way to keep people engaged.
Okay, okay. And you started in 2016, and then I read that in 2017 there was Hurricane Harvey, and you were faced with that challenge. How did you overcome that, and how was that for you?
Yeah, that was big. So I'm from Houston, Ryan's Woodworking is based in Houston, and Hurricane Harvey obviously devastated a ton of Houston. My neighborhood, probably 70 to 80% of it was flooded out. My house got over 5 feet of water, so almost to the top of our door. And my shop at the time is in our garage at our house. So that got completely flooded too. Obviously, nobody saw it coming. So kind of all my tools I had were destroyed or rusted out. I had a lot of projects I was working on too. I moved some of them to higher shelves, but a lot of them just with like the moisture in the water got destroyed too. So for months, really, we were just rebuilding our house because that's kind of the first part to help out, get the house back in order. But then I started to go to my shop, pulling everything out, and kind of had to start from zero. But the good thing is I kind of been doing it for a year or so already, had a good community. So I had a lot of people who were willing. They had old tools in their garage they weren't using. Some people donated like Home Depot gift cards to me. Just like a great community of people who were like able to help me get back on my feet and get Ryan's Woodworking going again.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome that you had that. It shows how important it is to build that strong community, when you first get started. And, as you're doing this alongside with school, is there anything you've noticed that you're learning, just from doing it, like from the experience itself, and then some things that you're learning at school, about business or just related to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so at UT, I'm a finance major, so I'm doing finance track, doing a lot of finance and accounting classes. And one big major thing I realize is, I guess in school they teach you, like say you're doing accountant, they're teaching you how to do the balance sheet, how to do like revenue, cost of goods sold, working down that. But nobody actually tells you how to like what specific programs you should use for what size business you are, or getting all those numbers, like getting the cost of goods sold, making sure your inventory, like what excess inventory you have, all those are different systems and different processes that they don't really dive into because on a test or on assignment, they just give you the numbers. But getting those specific numbers is really hard to do. It's hard to keep track of, especially when you're just me. I run this business myself. So keeping track of all of these little things and actually physically implementing them of how you get all that information, how you manage all that data, how you manage all your customers and everything. They don't really talk about the specifics. They kind of give you a general overview of a process just so you learn. but that's one of the biggest things. It's you kind of have to figure it out for yourself. Once you jump in, you learn things, you talk to people, you get people's opinions. You start one way, you do that for a while, then you find something better, so you jump on that. So really, it's just college specifics, like teaching you methods. But when you jump in the real world and have a business, I mean, you really have to figure out what works for you, what processes, what systems, and kind of go from there.
Okay. So what would you like recommend for a beginner in terms of accounting softwares? Like just what like what exact for example, what do you use?
Yeah, so I run majority all my stuff off of Etsy and then my website. So Etsy is great because they give you a breakdown of all that stuff. They show you the revenue, they show you what you're spending on ads, what you're spending on fees. You can print out that whole report, and they keep it all there for you. And then my website, I run through Square. So I built my website on Square, and the payment system is through the Square processor. So they also make it easy. They give the same type of reports, which is really easy. I'm able to just take both of those files, and I just use Excel personally and have it in a spreadsheet. I know I tried using QuickBooks for a while, but for me, it was just since I'm only pulling from my website Etsy, it was really easy to just pull all that. And any expense I have goes on my business credit card, so that's also easy to track. So for beginners, especially if you're just starting out, I think just using Excel and keeping like detailed records, either if it's from your website or wherever you're getting your payments, you shouldn't have any problem with that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice because I do see a lot, also, even just on the internet, people will give a lot of general advice, but not a lot of
Mhm.
specifics. Like if someone's just looking to just, they're getting started, they're looking to do what you do, sell their products online, like that would be very helpful for them to know, for viewers at home to, actually know specifically where do I go? I go to Square, I go to Etsy, that's where I get my reports.
No, yeah, exactly. And one thing I would say is don't be if you're just starting this business, don't be afraid to do something and then have to change it later. Don't spend all your time looking for a perfect solution, for perfect accounting software, perfect place to build your website. Because what I learned is you're going to start something, you're going to start doing it, and it's going to grow and change in ways you never thought. So I think the biggest step is taking that first step, jumping in, doing it, and then as you go along the way, start to figure it out. But don't be so pressed on finding a perfect solution to something right off the bat.
Yeah, being flexible.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is all very, very useful. All right. So, in terms of just people that you looked up to, or like, it could be business people, it could be just people in your direct family or circle, but it could also be, be someone famous, someone you don't know, but just watch. Like, is there anyone that you've looked up to that's kind of helped you throughout your business journey?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on this, but definitely starting out, Mr. Torres, who's my shop teacher in middle school, I mean, he really paved the path because nobody in my family does woodworking. Nobody has, any experience in really running their own business. Who's just in my general family. Mr. Torres getting me started. He really, took me under his wing, showed me the ropes, showed me how things are done. And even when he would like close the shop for other students, just because my middle school was kind of chaotic. Sometimes he'd just have to close it down. He'd still let me go in there, work on my projects because he knew I had orders. He knew I was starting this business. So off the bat, he really, I mean, was huge inspiration, great guy, and helped me get this path started. And other than that, to be honest, I feel like most people in my generation, I'm just like self-taught. I go on YouTube, I'm part of all these different Facebook groups, which is also another thing I might mention. If you're starting a business, join a bunch of Facebook groups that are about your business. You'll get a ton of tips, tricks, people on there who've been doing it forever, who are willing to help you out. And just from kind of my own research and going on Facebook, seeing what works, using social media, seeing what works there, just drawing inspiration from other people I see in my field posting and making videos. I've grown it from there.
Okay. And do you ever so do you see it ever affecting your school? Like, how do you balance your schoolwork and your business? Do you ever have to prioritize one or the other?
Yeah, and this is I guess one of the main questions I get a ton. But I'm pretty good at balancing out my schedule. I kind of know every day I'm doing grind woodworking, I'm working on it, answering emails, dealing with the customers, posting on social media. Like I said, I'm kind of a one-man show, so I do it all. But I think one thing I stay pretty busy. I don't like wasting time. I'm not going to sit down and play video games or watch movies. I'm still obviously going to go out with my friends and whenever something's happening, go have a good time. But when I'm when I'm just by myself, normally I am working, I'm grinding on Ryan's woodworking. So I don't think it's too difficult at all. And I definitely recommend if you can start a business as early as you can. Because like I said, I've been doing this since middle school. So I did the business during high school, during the start of college now. And I can tell you, if you work out and you actually care about it, it's something you could easily keep up with and do.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I started like in freshman year of college, not as early as middle school, but doing like marketing and media. And yeah, definitely it's possible with school at the same time. And but you do have to kind of make use of your time while you are alone. And what you just touched on there is you said you don't play any video games. So would you say that that has helped you? Because I know to this, so I stopped playing video games about between eighth grade and ninth grade, like going into high school. And a lot of my friends still play video games right now. So would you say that that's something that you would recommend to cut out if you're still playing video games, right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say if you're starting a business, if you have goals, aspirations, I think something you could totally cut out. I see my friends sit on there for hours and hours and play games and get high scores or, get first place in Fortnite but really that stuff, I mean, doesn't matter who cares who's watching unless you're going to be a pro video game player. Really, I think you're kind of just you can do it for fun, but if you have a goal, if you're starting a business like this, you're kind of wasting time. And I think there's much better uses, than sitting behind a screen and just playing for hours.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, I guess, when you are starting a business or running a business, how much of your time do you allow yourself, or how do you gauge, how do you personally gauge, like, how much time you allocate towards like fun and just enjoyment, because you don't want to have just a life of 100% work and like you said, not even being able to, like, if you can't see your friends or do some fun stuff once in a while. So how do you kind of gauge like when is a good time, like when you're done with all your work, or do you have like a certain limit of free time that you allow yourself to just?
Yeah. So I would say I started this business, and most people are business owners for freedom, for that freedom to do whatever you want. So if my friends are like, "Hey, we're going golfing or we're going out," I'm always gonna, unless something's super, super pressing, I'm always gonna go out. I'm always gonna hang out with my friends. I'm always gonna spend time to socialize, to meet new people. So I never let work get in the way of doing that, just because I think that's super important. And that's the whole reason I run a business, and that's the whole reason most people do, just for that freedom to do what you want. And then like times like this when I'm alone, when people are, studying or doing whatever, and I'm alone and I have that time, I'm always grinding on the business because I know at some point later in the day, later in the week, I'm gonna have to, go do all these social things. So I want to be caught up on all my stuff. So I make use of that alone time. But if people want to hang out, people want to go do stuff, that's why I have this business. So I have the flexibility to be like, okay, like let's go. I can do this from anywhere. I can do this later, but let's hang out.
Okay, okay. And just last question here to wrap it up, best advice you've ever heard?
Best advice I've ever heard. It's actually, it's funny. I saw this somewhere, and it's kind of become one of my favorite quotes. But it's what if it can turn out better than you ever imagined? So I kind of really like that, especially for Ryan's woodworking. Me being a 13-year-old, starting in my garage, and growing it to where it is now. Me being in college, still doing this, having thousands of sales, sell all across the United States, the whole entire world, being on big news agencies, having articles written about me. So I just think that quote, "What if it turned out better than you ever imagined?" I think it's super powerful and something that definitely I've taken to heart and I've seen just in my company.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I think we got a good glimpse of your kind of mindset, your story, and we got some good advice for people listening at home who, a lot of our viewers are interested in this kind of stuff and entrepreneurship and business. And so I think they'll get a lot of out of it.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Have a good one.